Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, today we celebrate the feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross, a special day on which we honor and venerate the very instrument through which our salvation was brought. The roots of this feast go back to the 4th century. Saint Helena, the mother of Emperor Constantine, who is known for discovering the true cross of Jesus. In 326 AD, she traveled to Jerusalem on a pilgrimage to locate Christian relics that were associated with the life and death of Jesus. She had a vision of Jesus directing her to search. During her search, St. Helena came across a place that was believed to be the place of Jesus' crucifixion, which had been neglected and covered over by a temple dedicated to the Roman god Venus. After excavating the area, she discovered 3 crosses buried in the ground. She had a challenge to discover which is the exact cross on which Jesus was crucified. A series of miracles helped her to confirm which cross was the one on which Jesus was crucified. According to the early church historians like Socrates, Scholasticus, and Theodoret of Cyrus, recorded the most famous miracle occurred when a woman was gravely ill, was brought, and she was touched by one of the crosses. After touching it, she was instantly healed. Then she affirmed the true cross of Jesus. The true cross was venerated as a most holy relic of the church. A portion of it was placed in Rome, another in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, another part was in Constantinople. Late in the 7th century, when the Persians invaded Jerusalem, they took away this relic, but Emperor Heraclius regained it and restored it to Jerusalem in a grand procession. To commemorate these events, the discovery, the veneration, and the restoration of the Holy Cross, the Church instituted this feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross. The cross is central to our Christian faith. In the ancient Roman world, the cross was a symbol of shame, torture, and execution. But when Jesus carried this cross and died upon it for our redemption, he transformed it into the instrument of our salvation. The person who brought salvation is Jesus Christ, and the instrument used to bring salvation is the cross. Therefore, the cross is no longer a sign of defeat, but a sign of triumph, love, and redemption. For this reason, the cross has become the identity of every Christian disciple. As Jesus himself said in the Gospel according to Luke chapter 9 verses 23, "If anyone wants to be my disciple, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." There is a beautiful continuity between the Old Testament and the New Testament regarding the cross. In the Old Testament, Moses was chosen by God to deliver the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. Holding his staff, he led them towards the promised land. In the New Testament, Jesus is the new Moses who carried the cross and by offering himself upon it as a spotless victim, redeemed the entire humanity and led us from the slavery of sin into the promise of eternal life. So the cross is also an instrument of healing. In today's first reading from the book of Numbers, we heard the people grumbled against God. God sent serpents that bit them. On Moses' plea, God
Therefore, what
asked
is the
him to
message
erect a
that
bronze
this feast
serpent,
of the Exaltation
and all who
gives
looked
us?
at it were healed.
3 takeaways
This
for our
foreshadows
journey of faith.
what we hear in the
Firstly,
Gospel,
humility.
where Jesus tells that
Accepting our
just
crosses
as
with
Moses
humility.
lifted up the serpent in the
Jesus,
wilderness,
though he was
so
God,
must the Son
humbled
of Man
himself
be lifted
and
up,
became
that
obedient
whoever
unto
believes
death,
in him
even
may
death
have
on
eternal
a cross.
life. St. Paul's letter to the Philippians chapter 2 verses 8. The cross teaches us that humility is the only path to exaltation. When we embrace our trials and burdens with humility, without resisting, without complaining, but only trusting, God will exalt us in His time. As Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta said, when you accept suffering with joy, you give the greatest proof of your love for God. So every cross becomes a ladder to holiness when carried with humility. Secondly, protection. Holding the cross as a symbol of protection. Many saints found strength and safety in the cross. For example, Saint Benedict always wore a cross and made the sign of the cross to drive away evil. Even today, the Benedict medal bears the inscription, "The Holy Cross be my light, let not the dragon be my guide." So the cross is a shield against evil because it is a sign of Christ's victory over sin, Satan, and death. Thirdly, hope. Let us always look at the cross of Jesus as a symbol of hope. We are the pilgrims of hope. On our earthly journey, when trials weigh down, the cross assures us that suffering is not the end. Beyond Good Friday lies Easter. The cross says to the sinner there is forgiveness, to the suffering there is healing, to the weary there is resurrection. Therefore, dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, on this feast of the exaltation of the cross, let us accept our crosses with humility, cling to the cross as our protection, and lift our eyes to the cross as our hope.